Hello everyone and welcome to episode 174 of the Xbox Hall Gamers podcast. This week I'm joined by Cameron and Keo.
Hello everybody.
It feels good to be back in the chair. It's been a little bit. I saw you guys did an episode without me. How fucking dare you? No, that was good.
Couldn't help ourselves.
According to the Discord, the people want content.
The people want content, and I wasn't here to edit it, and I was already getting shit. So, I mean,
I like how they didn't ask for good content or bad content. They just asked for content.
They didn't say, where's my favorite podcast I'd love to listen to. They said, where's the fucking podcast? Which is, you know what, fair enough. To be fair, I'd rather them complain that it wasn't out than no one say anything at all. So that's something at least.
That's true.
News is a little bit quiet this week. Not like crazy, but we are still sort of coming down from all the big announcements the last couple of weeks and that sort of stuff. But there's a few things here and there. First of all, how you guys been? Like I said, I missed the podcast last week because I was away for work. But yeah, what did you guys chat about?
Oh,
What
man.
did we chat about last week?
Oh, look, there wasn't. It was really just the dregs of the shows that were on, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of just chatted about what we were up to, what we enjoyed. So
Yeah,
Actually, Matt takes a week off, and then the perfect opportunity to talk about marketing campaigns comes up, and he's nowhere to be seen.
I know.
Make marketing great again.
Make marketing great again. I mean, I did call last week's episode a non-political podcast, so I just, I do always try to have fun with the names where I can. But yeah, as always, we do the show live on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us. Come say hi, hang out in the chat. Jeez, I've said it so many times, it's all running together. We do have a question this week from my good friend Red Ninja Jaden. Red Ninja Dan, because it all runs together. Who's one of our community members on our Discord. Make sure you jump on our Discord and say hi. It's the place to be. He says, what's one game you guys wish would be ported over to Xbox? For me, it would be the Monster Hunter story games, which I think are only on like the 3DS and stuff. Or like they were only on Nintendo consoles for the most part, right?
except until recently, they got ported to everything except for Xbox, I think.
Oh, well, that's fucking typical. Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah. So they some of those games were running on the MT framework, I think, as well, and that was always the excuse, right? So yeah. I've actually been deep diving into Monster Hunter like history and stuff now. I've been watching all of like stuff about the old games and stuff. It's been really good, actually. So
Monster Hunter's always been one of those series that I've again enjoyed like the idea of, and I played a little bit of I think like the PSP one back in the day, and like had a good time with it, and I was like, this is cool, and they never like got into the series because I was like, this is also like massively impenetrable and like really kind of a pain in the ass. But Jake's sort of pitch on Monster Hunter Wilds the other week was pretty interesting, to be honest. Like I want to wait for a sale or for it to come to Game Pass, because it does seem like they do end up on Game Pass pretty often.
Yeah, the only 100-hour completion time is pretty enticing.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing what perspective will do, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, anything kind of spring to mind for you guys? I mean, Black Myth Wukong is an obvious one for Cameron, because he's so excited to play that game because he's big into his Souls likes.
I was excited last year, but the amount of content, the amount of games that we've got this year is just ridiculous.
It is that thing, right? There was an article on TA talking about Final Fantasy 16, because obviously that got shadow dropped and ported over, about it not hitting like the top 100 for played Xbox games. But to be fair, like it is a bit of a different beast when a game comes out so much later than the initial release, and all the hype's kind of done about it, and kind of the game's kind of like over. The discourse is complete, the zeitgeist is over, and that's, yeah.
Did 16 initially do good on PlayStation?
It did pretty well. I don't think it did as well as they were hoping it was going to do, but that's because it's a Final Fantasy game. They were, Square Enix always have unrealistic expectations, but yeah, because it was a bit of a departure for the series in general, kind of moving to that sort of action combat versus the sort of more turn-based party system.
Yeah, and I think it was more like the player count was being tallied, not who bought it. So
that's true.
Which is like, we picked it up and I haven't even loaded the game yet. Right?
Yeah, so I've played like
there you go. There's one less person.
Exactly. Like I started it, I got like a couple of achievements, and I'm like maybe an hour or two in, if that. But most of that's been cutscenes, just because I've been away.
Yeah.
But I guess, yeah, it is that thing where it's like things getting ported over to Xbox is great, but when they're ported over so late that kind of no one cares about them, I don't really mind all that much because, again, we kind of talk about stuff whenever we want to, right? We're not really tied to the release schedule outside of our Game of the Year chat. But, yeah, it definitely does take the wind out a little bit when you get something like, was it like Deathloop or whatever? Was the other one that was like a year, they had like a year-long exclusivity on...
yeah, Deathloop and Ghostwire.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that where it's like you get to that, and like I usually don't mind because it's like, oh hey, there's a guide out for it, or people know how the game works already. I'm like, cool, I'm fine to follow that, or have an idea of what the best thing to do is, or things to avoid, or they've usually patched it a couple of times. But I don't know. Is there anything that jumps out of you guys as like things that you see on PlayStation? You're like, man, I really wish they'd port that over.
I played.
Okay, sorry.
You want to go first?
I was going to say, can we split this into two topics of conversation? Because the first one is other consoles.
Yeah.
And then the other bit outside of that is games that originally go out on Steam because that's all the developer can originally support.
Mm-hmm.
And then they hit mainstream popularity and then they get ported to other
everything
devices.
Else. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think with Steam, that's pretty much, unless you have a publisher backing you on that, it's pretty much the expectation these days. Or the main release schedule. A lot of these hits, like Peglin, for example, the achievement list came out on Xbox, I want to say last month.
Oh, right.
I do want to play it, but I'm just waiting for a sale.
Sure.
I know everybody has raved about it. Like, same thing with Blatro, and I mean, even Vampire Survivors is probably the absolute perfect example of that. Early access title, hits 1.0, then goes to all other platforms.
Yeah, that's true.
Are we strictly looking at this through a lens of third-party consoles?
Probably. I mean, obviously, first parties would be great. Like, I would love to have all of the first party catalog of your God of Wars and Spider-Mans and all that kind of stuff coming over to Xbox. Yeah. But like stuff that realistically should be ported to Xbox, that just hasn't been. Like series or like, especially I think like there's definitely a big contingent of the Japanese like development piece that just like don't end up on Xbox, unfortunately, which is a real shame.
I'm trying to think outside of first party, like what's something that I would absolutely want, but I mean outside of Final Fantasy and even just getting Tactics, coming onto this year, like nothing is immediately jumping out of me. I think the only thing is like when you have situations like Black Myth, it looks really awkward for somebody that's meant to be a leading platform to be falling behind like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess to cap it off, the excuse is always the Series S is the issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even like I think it was CD Projekt Red coming out and saying The Witcher 4
was causing some
very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've always said that I just want more of the Koei Tecmo stuff that's kind of been skipped. Basically, there's quite a lot on PlayStation. Mostly Dissidia NT. I want that to pop over. I want more people to hate that game.
That's fair.
Because I remember it being a great experience. And now I'm like, I don't know if I want to play it because I don't want that ruined for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be ruined. Don't worry.
Bulbasaur says Cookie Clicker, which is like, I think it is coming to Xbox. And Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 did have issues on the Series S. It's like one, and again, it was another one that's like that was the game of the year, and it took forever for it to come to Xbox and nearly didn't make it for that year, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. But other than that, I would really just like to see more like Game Boy games getting ported, like how the Jurassic Park collection and the Mortal Kombat trilogy, like the collection that's coming up, has like the Game Boy games in there as well. I just want to see some of those classic ones make their way, like the Castlevania stuff did. So
it is kind of nice that like as the games get old enough that it kind of feels like they don't feel like they have to, like, again, because you think about like the Castlevania, the most recent collection. I can't remember what it was called.
the advanced one,
Not the one after Advance. But Advance also counts, where it's like those were on like the
yeah.
DS and Game Boy and sort of stuff. And it's like those were like literally just Nintendo games because there weren't other handhelds.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
it's like, well, yeah, they just come to Xbox because they're just old enough that we can just do a remake or a port, and it's not a big deal. Like it's not like, oh no, they got a big exclusivity deal. It's like, no, it's like an old fucking cool game that you remember playing on a different console, and we can bring it to an Xbox, and it's not a big deal at all.
Yeah, totally.
Using that same framework, I thought of one, Yu-Gi-Oh! Collection.
Yeah,
The stuff that Konami is doing at the
yes.
moment. So
Yeah,
I mean, outside of that, I was gonna say outside of that quickly too, like stuff like Demon Souls and
yeah. Well, that's a
other
little bit
concepts.
different, right? Because like Sony funded some of that, so it's a little bit of there's a weird thing there. But I know what you mean. Yeah, I think there's definitely some of that like collection stuff coming out of Japan that just kind of seems to miss the Xbox because they just don't think there's enough of a market for it, which is probably fair enough, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The one thing I was thinking of a couple of games was Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. That was the one that was on Switch. That's one that I'm like, I really like, right up my alley. Puzzle, like kind of like really hard thinking game. You got to make notes and shit kind of thing. I was like, I would 100% play that on Xbox day one, and it's just not coming to Xbox. And it's just like doesn't seem like there's any. Yeah.
It's like the same as the Steam argument though. Like,
Yeah, but it was on Switch as well, which is always interesting. I think was the other thing. Right?
I think Switch has a, like, you wouldn't think it at first glance, but it has a much more accessible system than Xbox.
That's true. It's true. And like to be fair, they have the install base when it comes to like outside of PC. Like, yeah, the amount of Switches out there is ridiculous.
I mean, okay, if you wanted to launch on any platform as a developer, it's always going to be Steam first, followed by Switch.
Followed by Switch, especially if you have a
That's where
smaller
it
indie game. Yeah, that isn't like, you know, a graphical powerhouse that requires you to have some ridiculous machine. A couple of recent examples would be this one's kind of an edge case, but the Danganronpa guy just funded his own game recently that came out that's been getting really, really good reviews. I'm just trying to remember what the name was. 100 line, the 100 line colon Last Defense Academy, which is like sort of a Danganronpa style visual novel thing, but paired with a turn-based tactics game, and is apparently very, very good. And it has like 100 different endings. Like it's correct. The amount of content is insane.
Isn't that the one? Was that the one that launched very close to? Game was it? There was one game that launched like very close the same week, and it just completely overshadowed it.
Yeah, because it came up pretty recently, like a month or two ago, if that. But
I feel like
it wouldn't have been that Neo Fantasian Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Nah, I think it was like no, it was Claire Obscure.
Yeah, right. We came out basically around the same time. Yeah.
And then the Claire Obscure was just taking
all the oxygen out of everything, which, you know, to be fair, is the best game this year by far. So, but it is one of those things where
I just feel like
yeah,
when you're launching a game that is like turn-based, you know, centers around turn-based being such a big gameplay element, and you're picking between two, then I mean, you're gonna go with Claire Obscure, especially if it's in Game Pass.
True. And like the Danganronpa games have been in Game Pass as well, so I'm hoping that maybe this. To be fair, I know the reason why this it basically only got announced for like PC and Switch was that basically they used like their last dollar to make this game, so like they just don't have the money to port it to anything else at this point. But I'm really hoping it does. But that's one of those games where I'm like, I love seeing stuff coming out of Japan that has, again, because I like slightly more interesting, weird games, and like obviously we get a lot of good indie stuff coming across anyway, but the Japanese space is kind of a really, there's a lot there that I'm a fucking weeb, so like I enjoy kind of seeing some of these like more interesting games that aren't just gacha bullshit, you know. What was the other one? Oh, like it was like 13 Sentinels or whatever it was a couple of years ago. That was like some people like Game of the Year, or at least on their list of like just an amazing, interesting. Again, like another kind of tactical RPG kind of game, but with like a really, really rich story. and just never came to Xbox. It's just a real shame. So yeah, I'd love to see some more ports from the Japanese side of things. I'm hoping that we always talk about like Xbox making inroads into trying to get into the Japanese market by appealing to like getting the Personas on there, and like Persona and Yakuza were like the two series that I was always like, I can't wait. I would love for those to get ported, and they did. So like it's possible. Usually just I guess Microsoft has to stump up a little bit of money for it.
I'm kind of interested too if Sony eventually gets to the point of like, all right, Xbox is making all this money from porting and not having exclusives, like whether they change their positioning on exclusives.
Sony,
yeah,
maybe. I mean, there is an interesting.
If they started losing market share,
but they're not going to, right? Who are they going to lose it to outside of like PC, maybe? But to be fair, like
there was always that thing that they don't need Xbox because of their player base, basically.
So, yeah, having said that, though, their hard pivot into live services kind of going down in flames indicates that they're probably not doing quite as well as they were back in the day. Because if they were, they would have just kept making, really like strong AAA narrative-based games like God of War and I was trying to think what they have recently, but God of War and like Horizon and that sort of stuff. But clearly that's not quite.
Horizon, Spider-Man.
No, they're just quadrupling down on Horizon.
Well, they are kind of, where they were like, they want to do a live service and all that kind of stuff, and just I don't know. But
and it'll launch the same week as another AAA hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Titanfall 3.
Yeah.
we can have them battle against each other. All right. Let's get into the news. What have you found for us this week, Cameron?
All right, so just starting it off, I haven't looked too far into it yet, but basically Microsoft has confirmed that its upcoming Xbox next-gen consoles will be using AMD technology across all platforms, including Windows. So this was just a short video announcement from Xbox President Sarah Bond, saying that they'll basically be enhanced with the power of AI. The announcement also reaffirms the importance of Windows in Xbox's future, a tease for future Xbox handhelds with AMD, and an Xbox device that allows users to play games from other storefronts. That was the other thing I was going to close that question about too. I guess PlayStation really, regardless, they won't need to port to Xbox anyway because they could still get PC sales.
Yeah.
And it would still be the same kind of... Yeah. It would just be Steam taking the cut, essentially.
Sure. Well, yeah, someone's taking the cut, right? If they're selling, either it'll be Steam or it'll be the Windows Store. It sounds like Steam's the way they're going at the moment. But, yeah, Microsoft is showing that they're obviously store agnostic at this point. I think, like there was that key point at the end there where they're like across multiple storefronts. And it seems like with the new, the Xbox Ally, that it's going to be, you can basically access all of your libraries across it, which is the smart thing to do. It's basically just a PC, right? So it's not super surprising, but it is something that the Steam Deck isn't really built for.
Yeah, and the next gen stuff apparently is reported to have like hardware, like backwards compatibility.
Oh, interesting.
Stuff going on. Yeah.
Well, I mean that makes sense, right? I guess the last few generations have been very like compatible in terms of like we're not in the PS3 days of the cell architecture and all that other bullshit.
Yeah. Let's just hope they add like a Game Boy cartridge slot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just get like an adapter.
100%. Yeah, well, I can play Perfect Dark from Game Boy Advance.
Hell yeah. I mean, well, fuck, like none of the games are gonna have disk drives, so you're gonna have to be able to plug stuff into it, right?
So I just had two thoughts cross my mind. The first of it was going back to like, I wonder what a world would look like if Switch actually ported games to PC. I mean, all you would ever need is like a Steam Deck.
That's the thing, right? Yeah, like eventually the PC becomes the ultimate thing. There are a lot of people who just buy, the new Switch or the new Nintendo thing and a PC, and that covers 90% of the games that you want to play, which is fair enough,
And 90% of the games that you want to play are 2% of the games that an achievement hunter plays.
Well, that is the big problem, right? Is that as an achievement hunter, like I wouldn't mind switching completely to PC if everything had achievement support like the Xbox does, but most of the games, even like stuff getting added to Game Pass now, even like the Warcraft games and Starcraft and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
None of those have achievement support, you know. And obviously that's not the only reason I play stuff, but it is it makes it a lot easier for me to pick between stuff if I can earn achievements with one game and not with another.
I mean, if you got choice, then why would you pick something outside of it? Like,
yeah,
unless they're giving you a reason. I mean, we're very feature heavy as achievement hunters.
That's true.
Gamers.
That's true. And I guess like as Microsoft moves to this like all streaming future, it might not even fucking matter. You know, like realistically, you could play most of your stuff from a PC, even if it is a console game. The play anywhere sort of architecture makes that like a But I guess the problem is like Microsoft just doesn't have the market share to make that a thing across too many games.
I kind of wonder sometimes too what the future is going to look like. The other thought I had just before is like, all right, when we get to the Xbox 30 or whatever, and we're in our 70s or 80s, how big is my digital library going to look like?
Well, it'll all mostly been delisted because of licensing stuff, so you'll probably have about 5 games. I was well, that's the problem, right? Living in a DRM future is that eventually these deals run out and they start delisting stuff or stop supporting it. Unfortunately, but I know what you mean. It will be it'll be interesting to see how long. Again, I'm still very curious how long the 360 architecture is going to last for. You know, because that is the last thing. That last thing before we move to this kind of new future of everything being forwards compatible and backwards compatible is like there's that weird blip before it became before the Xboxes became basically just PCs with different shells.
Man, I wish there was some way to bring like older non-backwards compatible titles forward.
It may still happen. You never know. I mean, like emulation gets better and better, but yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be like first party lib though.
No,
it's always going to be the modders and
unfortunately. But I am excited. I would say I'm excited to see that they've confirmed that they're doing another Xbox and that their partnership with AMD is not super surprising. I'm assuming PlayStation will do basically the same thing, because why wouldn't they? But it is cool to see that it isn't just disappearing. We are still getting another Xbox. Like it is happening.
I need to actually watch this announcement for itself, whether they're using the new terminology, because it's PC gaming by Xbox now, isn't it?
I don't know if they specifically said that in the video. It's a pretty short announcement.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, a week or two ago, Kia, they were calling it something else.
It was there was a line along the bottom of the screen of one of the Game Pass ads or something, and it said something about Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, kind of like the wording was weird there.
Xbox on PC.
Yeah, that's they've been talking about like as a platform brand, just because it doesn't really make sense for them to say, this whole again, like this is an Xbox, right? Has been their big campaign. So, all right, what else we got?
Next one is Bungie indefinitely delays Marathon following negative feedback. It was originally meant to launch in September of this year, and they're going to use the time to continue testing the game and adding new features based off the player feedback and
checking all the art to make sure it hasn't been plagiarized.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really what's going on here. So.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 5 times, shame on me.
I'm sure Sony's real pleased about that the $2 billion they spent on Bungie, right?
Just crazy.
Even when they did it, it was just ridiculous amount. Like Destiny's good and doing well, but like fuck me. Anyway.
Yeah, but you purposely bought a studio to help lead all these live service games. And...
the 12 live service games that they had planned.
Okay. We look at it from this lens. It could also be the fact that as much money as Sony has spent on acquiring Bungie, maybe the Bungie developers going like, no, none of these live service titles are right.
Yeah, which does seem to be what happens, right? Is I think like they were brought in to do some work with the Last of Us.
Last of Us.
Yeah, the Last of Us thing they were working on. They were just like, no, this is not like, no, shut it down, basically.
Live service is hard too. Like, Firebreak apparently isn't that great.
Oh, really?
Well, I can talk about that soon.
Oh, okay, I want to hear about it.
Yeah. I haven't played it yet, but like just some reviews I'm hearing is just like in terms of the typical live service, there's nothing to keep you around.
Yeah,
like
right.
You'll be interested due to the Alan Wake stuff, but past that, it's
pretty basic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, usually what happens is you get a live service that comes out, it doesn't do super well, and they shut it down. But like, Sony doesn't even seem to be able to get to that stage. You know, like that. Like Concord technically came out. Obviously, Helldivers did really well, even though it's a sort of second party development kind of thing.
I think it's of an era. Like there was the ones like PUBG and Fortnite. They got onto it early. They built it into the giant successes they are today. Everybody else, unless they really have the money to continuously develop it, build it over time, like how else are you meant to stand out? Like Sonic, for example. They was it? No, sorry, it wasn't Sonic. It was still Sega though. They had that project that they cancelled. Hyenas, that's it. Yep. There's been countless stories of like games launching for a year, and they just don't have the legs to stand on past a few seasons.
Yeah, and there's a thing where it's like, is that enough? Like, the amount of money they're throwing into these games mean that like these games need to run for like several years to make back their money, right? And like hopefully find whales and find a niche. But the natural course of a game is that it comes out like a normal game is that a game comes out, it reviews relatively well, has a bit of a longer tail. People buy it, talk about it for a bit, comes up a Game of the Year chat, and then usually people look back on it fondly for a little bit every now and then it goes on sale, and maybe a few more people pick it up, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, the wild thing about something like X Defiant, where they had people doing esports for it.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? They had a year of that, and it's all over? Like, what are they doing? So...
I mean, to be fair, Ubisoft has been going from, like, disaster to disaster for a fair while, so, like, even... Yeah. I'm not... I can't say I'm surprised.
I mean, taking Ubisoft again, like, you could say the same thing with Rainbow Six Siege, though. They didn't believe in it as initially.
That's true. That's true.
It's something like X Defiant. So, I mean, it works on both sides.
Yeah, and sometimes you find a hit, and like that's what they're banking on, right? Which is true of all live service games. They just want the one that makes a shitload of money, and they'll just keep throwing darts at the dartboard until one of them sticks into the right spot. But with with Marathon, like this being like the thing where it's like, oh, Destiny's basically done for the most part. We're moving on to this extraction shooter 5 years too late. I mean, the fact that we didn't see anything at like the state of play, like talk about Bungie about Marathon is basically done. Outside of that one, after the plagiarism thing, they did that one stream where they couldn't show any of the game because they had to check all the art assets, and then it's basically been like, this is the last we've heard about it. Like, we all predicted that they were going to delay this because it's just been like radio silence, and like a game coming out in September, they're supposed to be the live service for Sony.
Yeah.
Like delayed indefinitely is...
Yeah. That Xbox players were going to buy.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Like multi-plat, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But it's like, it's a real shame because like I love Bungie. Like, I mean, obviously I'm a huge fan of Halo. And I know Destiny from a mechanical perspective is just like a fantastic fucking game. But... Yeah, it's a real shame because like I would love to play a new Bungie game. I'd love to have a good reason to play a new Bungie game, but I just don't think Marathon's it. I just don't think we're in the right... I don't think it's the right game for this kind of environment that we're in.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with, games like Clair Obscura and all that coming out, like, players really just want creativity at the end of the day.
Yeah, they want smaller projects that are more interesting, that take more risks. And, like, I'm just, like, as video games are a business, obviously that's never going to fly for everything. But I think games like Clair Obscura and that are like proving that there's definitely a market for that kind of AA development again. We're kind of getting there where it's like, it used to be that the AAA developers would do a smaller project and do like a AA game. But now it's actually more like the indie developers are now getting a bit more notice and are getting a bit more funding to kind of build slightly larger projects on the other end. And that's how you get a 30-man team, 30-man team and a dog to make, this year's Game of the Year contender.
Yeah, the discussion about that of whether it was actually 33 devs or not.
Yeah, well,
there's a lot of that going on at the moment. I mean, like, you've got situations where there's like AAA indies now and all that. I was going to make a joke though, like AA's don't really exist anymore, and Forza bought them all and closed them all down.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
Anyway, transitioning into the next story, Player Obscure Expedition 33 devs tease more content for the highly rated RPG. They've got more content. It's very much on their radar, but it technically isn't a roadmap at this point. This is very much a very quick thing. We're currently exploring a wide range of future improvements, from accessibility features to new content and all sorts of bits and bobs we're actively assessing. Just more French.
Sure. I mean, great.
Just more French.
To be fair, that like it.
You're saying there's too much French.
There is a lot of French in this game. I mean, there is a fucking
Yeah.
Eiffel. There's a bent over Eiffel Tower there. So like, this game is very French. It is one of those things where I was like, I don't know what they would do. Like, I sort of, again, I don't want to talk too much about. We will probably do a spoiler cast once I convince a few more people to play it. But
I will get around to it. I just need time to.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But it is one of those things where the way that game ends is like, okay, cool. They could kind of do, like, I don't think there would be another expedition game, but there might be another Clair Obscura game, if that makes sense, where it's like another thing set in this universe with these rules or this kind of idea. But not.
You could still talk to the characters in the universe.
Something like that.
I've got an idea. They just drop a whole bunch of content, just whatever it is, and then slowly they do a bungee and take the content out of the game as it goes 32, 31.
No, it's just the live service countdown.
Yeah. You've just got these generations of people, and you get to know them. You love these people, and they're just slowly disappearing from the world. The content's just naturally being cut from the game.
Wow, that's brutal. That's Peter Molyneux idea right there.
This doesn't have a new game plus mode or anything, does it?
It does. But it doesn't really have a lot of like extra content for New Game Plus. It is very much just like play through the game again with some slightly tweaked settings.
Because I'm just thinking, well, like, 33 is your normal playthrough, then you do Expedition 32.
Well,
31,
that's the thing, is that like
make it different.
a big part of that game is meeting, like, not meeting, but like finding the remnants of the previous expeditions and the things like the adventures they went on. Like you find like logs and like things they've set up. Like there's like one expedition that's like a climber's expedition that kind of explains why there's these random handholds everywhere. Is like because they literally drilled them into the rock wall for the next expeditions to come. Because they're like, if we don't make it, we want to make it easier. They kind of do that. Like it's almost like a Death Stranding kind of like thing where it's like someone's come before to make this an easier thing for me to do. And so it's a real interesting thing. Like there is definitely a lot of opportunity for them to go, well, there's been a shitload of expeditions up to this point. There's a lot of them we could look at.
It's not that different. Like I know most of the story. I've read a synopsis and all that. I still intend to play it. It's not that different from Final Fantasy X in my mind.
It has a lot of 100%. Like it is very much like a journey across the world to deal with a fucked up situation that is destroying the world. Yeah, like it is
repeats itself.
Yes, exactly. Like it's just like a cycle. Yeah, sort of. It's obviously it has its difference, but it definitely has a lot of the energy. I won't rehash my entire Clair Obscura review because I fucking love that game and I would talk about it for hours. But there is definitely like a strong area where they could do a lot of prequel stuff, or they could do a lot of like. Yeah. If they were going to do more content, I would hope they would do like story content as opposed to just like, oh, we did like a boss rush or we added a couple of new enemies or some new like challenges. Like I would want it to be like actual like impactful stuff or interesting things around the world because it's such a rich tapestry for them to work with that I don't want to
make so much sense.
I'll tell you what you want. You want Expedition 10. You want a mode that's just all 10-year-olds.
Oh my god.
Talking about
Oh my god. Yeah.
Very deep and meaningful conversations that they do not understand.
Yeah. Because they're all talking in French.
Yeah. And and then you just got the simps involved.
Yeah, exactly. It just becomes a management game.
Yeah. Prequels make the most sense because that they did not survive.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna get teary. How teary can you make it, basically? So
I mean,
I just want a previous expedition, like playing first person as them, using the same rules and that in the universe, knowing they're destined to fail, but like how they got to that point.
Yeah. Well, like I think it'd be really interesting to see, like, because obviously you don't want to just redo the whole game again with another expedition, right? Like, but you want it to be like, okay, I would love it to be like, okay, you get to play as like 10 different expeditions, because the thing is, like, you find the expeditions going off in different directions, because like you like a lot of them die in different, like some of them die along like and very much like, okay, we're doing this, then this and this, and we're heading in this direction. Some of them are like, we ended up in some weird fucking place, we don't know what's going on here, we've made a terrible fucking mistake, and like it's so interesting just because you get little snippets of their journeys, because you get like one log per expedition. That's pretty much it, and like some clues, some context clues around like what happened to them. But
well, I'm 100% thinking like what Final Fantasy 15 does with its DLCs, like the character, the standalone kind of story.
Yeah, that I think that kind of thing would be really, really interesting for sure.
Because I think if you're focusing on like 10 different expeditions and all that, it kind of like muddies the water to a point of it loses its focus.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it comes too focused on the gameplay rather than the story, and I think that's where, I mean, to me as an outsider, the game looks like it's drawn the most appeal.
Yeah, there's also another thing around the game that I think would also work really well as like a DLC to kind of enrich the world a bit, but a lot of it is like very spoilerific, so I don't want to kind of get into that. But there's a lot of potential there, and like obviously this game's been hugely successful, but I am a little bit surprised that they're like, like on the one hand, I'm like, from a story perspective, it feels very complete. Like very much like a full arc, and they kind of did everything they needed to do, and they were kind of done with it. So doing a DLC kind of feels a bit weird, maybe, but also, like I said, like there is some prequel stuff, and there is but from like a business perspective, obviously this is a hugely successful game from a first-time developer. Of course, they want to capitalize on it, make sure that they can keep making stuff and keeping the fans engaged, because the response to it has just been insane.
Yeah, if you're going to go down the Final Fantasy 15 route, you're going to end up with a novel from the stories that didn't make it in the game.
Yeah.
That finish the story.
Basically.
So you've got to be careful, but...
Yeah. So I guess we'll see, but like I said, they have no roadmap, they're just basically confirming that they are working on it, which is, fair enough.
Yeah, good for them. Yeah, it's great.
What do we got next, Cameron?
I don't know how far you want to talk about it. The Outer Worlds 2 developer discussing the $80 price tag on Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically saying that Xbox are the one who choose the pricing, which they're the publisher, so that is how that works usually. There's usually like some level of negotiation, but like, no shit.
I mean, the irony of putting it on a game like Outer Worlds 2 though, is the first choice for the pricing keys.
Oh yeah, 100%. But like, yeah, what was that fucking game? I'm trying to remember, the one that was making fun of Amazon.
Oh, the indie one.
Yeah,
played it.
Yeah, but like
had that really annoying like robot mini game.
Yeah. But there is like The Last Worker, I think it was, right?
The Last Worker. That's it. Yeah.
But there's so many things where it's like, I think the example was The Boys, was like, the TV show The Boys, where they're like making fun of corporations like co-opting like, Pride Month and that kind of stuff, and like making fun of like how just like corporations just soullessly trying to commodify everything, but also, is also Amazon Prime, like they're the ones who make the show. Like is like it just happens all the time, right? Where it's like there's so many people like the only way to get my art made making fun of the horrible dystopian world that we live in is to accept funding from the horrible dystopian companies because they're the ones who are paying.
Yeah.
But it is really telling that this game is like capitalism to the nth degree. It's like a fucking libertarian's wet dream, and the fact that they're charging $80 for it is pretty fucked.
I decided to look up the boys' Twitter account again because I wanted to see Trump apparently paid, I think, 50 grand to put up 2 flagpoles, like massive flagpoles from the White House.
Oh my god!
In addition to the one already out there. And the first post was essentially, contrary to popular belief, season 4 is not a documentary.
Yeah, right. It's
still for your consideration, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's just sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. So I think it is pretty fucked that they are charging $80 for it, but this just seems to be the way they want to do things. And like obviously, I am so curious around like how many people are actually going to buy this game versus just play it on Game Pass. I mean, we're all going to play it on Game Pass if we play it at all.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what the other platform sales end up being like. This is the thing. If we see it trending on Sony, like on the PlayStation Store, like
people are buying it.
How do we take it? People are buying it. So, I mean, Sea of Thieves was like right up there for a 27. I mean, live service
has kind of got a different.
Comparing apples to bananas.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I get what you mean.
Pentiment, I think Pentiment did well, if I'm not mistaken.
Did well-ish. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. I mean, there's a few Xbox first-party games that have been on place, like they're obviously getting sales out of it.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if that sales is because of novelty at this point, and like they'll wear off over time. Because it's like, okay, let me put this.
Xbox player, I'm going to buy your games because I can.
Or it's like hey, I've never played a Forza game before. Horizon 5's got really, really good reviews. It's finally available on PlayStation. I'm going to give it a go. And then when the 6th one comes out, you go, oh yeah, I played 5. It was good. It was really good. But I'm like 6 is not like I don't have that.
Yeah.
There's not. I don't feel like I'm finally getting the thing that I haven't got.
Every single conversation I've had about Gears of War coming to PlayStation is that I'm buying Gears of War on PlayStation because I want to play Gears of War on PlayStation.
Yeah, sure, because I've never played it on. But then it's like, but when the next one comes out, are you like, am I super into it? Are the numbers going to go up, or is it just going to be like, yeah, we played Gears, it was cool. I had that novel, interesting experience, and now it's kind of like now we just kind of back to business as usual. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens in that space.
Forza's interesting because Forza outsold. What's their
Gran Turismo?
Gran Turismo, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, although Gran Turismo is very much on the less arcadey side of things for the most part. It's more on the sim side. I mean, maybe not as much as because they definitely have Gran Turismo have their sim version of those games too. So it's kind of like in between, but it's like the arcadey racer will always appeal to more people, right?
It'd be interesting to know though if like Turn 10 came out tomorrow and said, "All right, we're going to port Motorsport over."
Yeah, I don't think anyone would be interested. I am very curious.
They really blew the landing for that game so bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know with Outer Worlds 2.
I'm interested to play it. Like Obsidian do great work, and I think this will be a fantastic game. It's a shame that this is the headline. That this is kind of taking away from what is going to be. I don't know if it'll be a game of the year contender. It might be, to be honest. I mean, Outer Worlds 1 was a great game. It was a little rough around the edges, and like you could tell the budget was kind of running out a little bit in terms of some of the places and some of the decision stuff. But it was a really, really great microcosm of one of those games that I just like love.
Yeah, it seems like one decision short of making a stupid collector's edition like they used to with Saints Row or or Capcom doing a expensive jacket or how stupid? There was that.
You said Saints Row. We have two different levels of.
I was going to say too. If Saints Row literally had $1 million special
Yeah,
edition
That's
ones.
the one. That's the one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we were just talking, steel case kind of.
No, it was the one that came with
digital
a fucking
asset we're
Lamborghini and
talking.
you got plastic surgery as well.
Plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean though, Kia, right? Like it definitely
Yeah.
feels like you can kind of do it.
It's no Dead Island. It's no Dead Island carcass.
The fucking torso. Jesus, yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that's crazy. But
I'm just looking back at Zach. What are you physical copy of Mario Kart World?
I don't know. Yeah, I definitely want to give this game a go, and like it does sound like it's just kind of more of the same but better, and like I'm totally on board for that.
Yeah.
Like the DLC for the base game was really, really good, and highly recommend it. So like I think that if they kind of take some of that energy and just make some more stuff, then great. But $80, like the fact, like I said, like the fact that this is the headline and not all the cool features and cool stuff that you're going to do, is kind of, I feel like, detracting from the game, and like Xbox are kind of shooting themselves in the foot by making this the thing. Especially because these games tend to be smaller experiences. Like Outer Worlds 1 was not a AAA game for the most part, if you get what I mean. Like it was, I don't want to be like it's bad, but it was definitely a smaller game than a lot of people were kind of expecting, I guess.
That's the other thing too, is like, are we saying Grounded 2 would be an $80? Like, this is a hard thing with sequels to those kind of IPs as well, because you've established yourself as more of like the lower end of AAA, higher end of AA.
Sure, smaller projects, smaller teams, especially from like a team like Obsidian, where they're doing multiple projects.
Yeah, and if all you got to go off is, I played the Outer Worlds 1 because it was in Game Pass and it was like, what, a $50 experience, and then I see the sequel, I'm automatically just going to go off that element of, I played this, not the pricing consideration, not everything that they're adding to this game, unless I do that investigation. Any typical gamer would be like, yep, it's a sequel, it's going to be exactly the same.
Or,
why such a price increase?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it might be like, there is a little bit of the element of like, oh, it's the second game, we're going to do bigger, better, more badass, right? That was Gears 2 to Gears 1. That was the classic Cliff Bleszinski pitch. The game still cost the same for the next one, but like the idea was that the game is bigger, and like, Outer Worlds 2 is like, since Obsidian's been acquired, this game came out, it is a different Obsidian in terms of like the funding they get, probably the team size. Like there is definitely an idea of like this, depending on, like they said this game's gonna be like twice as big basically, right? Or twice as much stuff in it. So it might be that like actually this is more on that AAA space, and like it does make a bit more sense for it to be more expensive. But for it to be like the $80 game for Xbox is like, it doesn't feel like the right fit if they're trying to push that as the thing.
It's the same as the conversation from Borderlands 3 to Borderlands 4 though. Like, Randy's saying it's like so much more, they've sunk so much more cost
Twice as
into it.
much,
Like,
yeah.
But what are we getting twice as much game? And I don't see that as
Yeah.
Game dev is so secretive unless you can show that, like, usually it's through like, generational leaps.
Yeah. But we're going into Borderlands. We're going into Borderlands 4, and we still don't know if it's going to be a good game.
Well, that's the thing. It's like all games, right? We just don't know, right? But the assumption is that like if the price tag is increasing, it needs to be a better, again, like big air quotes, better game than the previous cheaper one.
What I'm trying to say with this point though is like, this generation that we're in, it's so hard to. It's not an Xbox 360 to an Xbox One leap.
Sure.
It's something that is very hard to see that shift going from original IP to its sequel. Like Grounded only seems like that in my mind because it is a early access product that launched as 1.0 that has continuously been developed over time. That to all of us still feels very recent as a
sure.
Like every release, every mention I've seen on Grounded 2 is just like, holy shit, we're getting Grounded 2 already.
Yeah, well, it's the thing. It's like, oh, they're not keeping Grounded 1 and just adding more content to it. And it's like, no, they're doing a sequel. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Why? Because you don't typically see sequels in live services because it's the antithesis of building a player base in one game and then trying to move them to another one, unless there's a very good reason to, like an engine change or like something. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless there is a massive technological leap. I was going to just end the point on Borderlands 3 to Borderlands 4. I mean, how much of this is just the fact that wages, like, keeping staff on and all that, and
games getting more expensive to make.
Game dev development, yeah, and not actually any benefit for the consumer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'd like to see some like a joke in Outer Worlds 2 about the split publishing rights between the first game and its new edition.
Yeah, Space's Choice Edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I am excited for this, but I definitely get your point, Cameron, around like this is is the game going to be like that much better than the first game based on how much extra it costs? And would it have been better for them to make a smaller, cheaper game, but just kind of made more like just like of similar size to the original? I don't know. But we also haven't played it yet, and I think most of the hands-on experience has been relatively tepid on it in terms of like it's one of those games where it's like you need to spend a lot of time with it to get into the story and the characters and like make your own build and
I've heard I watch Inside Gaming, like the guys that used to be Funhouse.
Yep.
And they had a preview of it, and they said the game, like the gunplay, is just phenomenal compared to the first one.
Because that's definitely one of the weaker points. Is that like anytime you had to shoot someone in that game, it was kind of not amazing. All the other stuff was great.
I want to make another quick comparison too. Is like, Key is probably the best person to answer this because he works in retail. But like, is Mario Kart World like $80 worth of game? Like, if a customer came up to you and said, "Is it worth the what is it, $120 Australian price tag?"
So far, from what I've heard, and this is a recount from somebody I physically was talking to, was that they played about 30 hours of the game over like a couple of days, and then woke up the next morning and then said, "I think I've had enough of this game."
I mean, to be fair, 30 hours is pretty good value for any game, but that's fair.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like Mario Kart is one of those games that like usually should have like a long tail that people should play forever, right? That's the reason why Mario Kart 8 just never fucking died.
Yeah.
It's not the first game you would trade in.
To be fair, what Switch 2 games are there to trade in at this point?
Yeah.
And which ones are on the disc, right? So
also true. Very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got?
I'll blitz through this next one. Minecraft essentially got a Chase the Skies update, which adds a new achievement.
Okay.
TA did a pretty good article just explaining the 15 differences, but the main thing I wanted to point out was the vibrant visuals gives like shiny environments and that.
They're going to do that like lighting effect stuff, ray tracing.
Yeah. So if your hardware is competent enough to handle it, you can now turn on vibrant visuals and give your Minecraft world some delightfully even lighting and shading effects. It's wonderful with the changes affecting everything from the ground blocks to the surface of the water, and even letting the sun poke through the holes in the trees. List of changes for this graphical enhanced mode goes long, but personally I like the change the most. Updated the bee, dolphin, ghast, pig saddle, and strider textures in vibrant visuals. There's just something very amusing about the big visual updates going out its way to make bees and dolphins shinier, but not any other animals like salmon, squid, or axolotl.
Yeah, I think because they showed off the vibrant visual thing a couple of years ago, right? I think they were kind of showing off this new tech they were working with and all the stuff, and it looked really, really good. So, I mean, again, I don't know if I'll ever play.
Years coming. Like, it's been
it's been ages. Yeah. I don't know if
back when we were getting HoloLens stuff.
Oh shit! Yeah. That's going back real far, back before they started using it for the military.
Apparently, their editor is also out of beta.
Oh, okay.
So if you never heard of this mode, you just have to select Creator Tools in the Minecraft launcher on PC to access it. Cool mode, letting you turn Minecraft into a 3D modeling program that lets you build, copy, and paste and move structures with just a few clicks.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, there's always been talk about like turning it into a proper engine. I mean, like that's kind of how Roblox does their stuff. So
I honestly, with how Minecraft has been going the last few years and how successful the movie is, I would be very surprised if they didn't go down the Roblox route. Just obviously having Microsoft as a publisher and that, they need to do it a lot better.
Yes, 100%. All right. What else we got?
And then I'll just pass on to Keo to talk about Capcom Showcase.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I actually don't think I haven't had a chance to see anything about that.
Okay.
Actually.
All right.
So because I've been working, so yeah.
Yeah.
I just
When
pointed
you posted the update today, I was just like, all right, cool. I thought you wanted to talk about. That's all good.
Yeah.
Capcom has announced its next Capcom Spotlight Showcase, promising news on Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, and more.
Yes.
Matt wasn't here to have the conversation about it, but Summer Games Fest had the best joke of a gaming event in the last few years.
The fact that they were like, oh, Resident Evil news is coming soon, and they meant in 20 minutes by putting the trailer at the end.
Later.
Fucking brilliant. I was so good. Yeah, and it looks fucking good. Like Resident Evil 9 looks amazing. I'm very keen on apparently third person and first person, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how that works. Yeah.
I did say just the summer game showcase. I think that was the best one Jeff's ever done.
I would say so. It was really good. I liked just about everything.
The advertising was extremely minimal. It just felt like banger after banger.
Yeah. Not a lot of. I mean, again, I didn't really get much of a chance to talk about the showcases because I missed last week's episode. But I would just say, having gone back and watched them and checked out the trailers for stuff, there was a lot of stuff in there where I was like, great. Not a lot of you didn't see a lot of your big franchise stuff showing up, which is a little bit of a shame, especially on the Xbox side of stuff where they felt like they were keeping a few things back. But there was just so much good stuff. I'm like, cool, interested in that. And then a lot of them were like, yeah, 2026. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll fucking wait till next year. This year is maybe looking a little bit lighter than I was expecting based on all the stuff we saw, but there is still a lot of good stuff coming.
You're crazy. Everything's launching in September.
Well, a couple of things are launching in September.
Yeah. An overwhelming amount of games are launching in September. I don't know what you're about. It's the 2nd February. I would say the only thing you need to watch, I'm really stressing this to the audience, the only thing that you need to watch is the Felt That boxing trailer.
Yeah, that game really great.
Because, oh my god, I am 100% sold on it.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll say about the Monster Hunter stuff that's going to come up in this is they've been, fans of the Monster Hunter have been whinging basically that it's not enough content.
They haven't got to the hard stuff yet.
So big, and considering Monster Hunter World was 600 to 1,000 hours completion with Iceborne. That the fact that Jake finished it in 100 hours with all the achievements really says that it's probably lacking a lot of the content that and this is supposed to, I guess, maybe up that a little bit, hopefully. So
yeah, I guess I know that a lot of people have been talking about how they're waiting for those super high rank hunter monsters to fight, because that's kind of how the trajectory of all of these Monster Hunter games go, right? Is that they always release a DLC where it's like, oh, you finished the main game, here's something that's 3 times fucking harder.
Yeah, and they do really amazing crossovers too. I was playing the Geralt the Witcher one the other day actually, and it was really good. You play as Geralt.
That's cool.
You go through the world and it's just shit like that all through the game. It's really good. So.
So apparently they're also showing off Pragmata as well, which I'm really interested to see. That's the one with the girl and the astronaut that's been in development hell for the last 5 years or whatever. Keeps getting pushed and cancelled. I think it was almost a COVID casualty.
Capcom's Ico.
Yeah, Trico. Yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But apparently it's a puzzle game. It's got. I know some people played a little bit of it at Summer Games Fest, so I'm curious to see what kind of game it is. It does sound like it's maybe a little bit of another fun Capcom kind of interesting project as opposed to just kind of your usual stuff. So I'm always keen to see kind of what out there stuff they do.
I'm very interested to see how it ends up playing.
I need to get back to some of the Resident Evil stuff too.
So it was Street Fighter 6 and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, which obviously Street Fighter 6 was a huge smash success for them, so they're just going to keep rolling on, bring new characters out.
Yeah.
So no big surprises there.
Capcom has just been smashing it.
They've been doing really well. They've been doing really, really well.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm I'm wondering like whether they'll consider doing a new like Dead Rising past like just
I feel like that if they're going to do
games,
anything, they'll
or-
remake the second one first. Because it's like I just recently finished.
DRDR.
Yeah, DRDR.
Remaster.
And it was so good. Like it was, yeah, it was fucking fantastic. Like it just going back to it, I was like they sanded down enough of the edges to make it playable in today's with like being able to like speed through stuff or in terms of like your timing, so you're not just literally just waiting for stuff if you need to. Making survivors slightly less brain dead, and just making it like little things where it's like, oh, if you get a collectible, like you do the collectible like camera stuff, if you get one of those, it just stays on your profile, so you don't have to do all of them in a single run. Like just little time saver stuff where it's
Nice.
like, yeah, little things where it's like it doesn't make the game like easier. It just makes the game more playable to be like, okay, I just don't have to worry about that anymore. Like I just take the photo and then I move on to the next one. And if it's like, oh, I died or I need to restart this run, because there's a couple of stickers that are in like a very time specific spot that you can easily miss. And I was like, I did all of them except for those two, and then I just did those two in my second playthrough and I got it. And like it just felt like a much cleaner kind of game. They've also made some really good changes to the infinite survival mode as well to make it a bit more reasonable as opposed to just having like one path through it. But yeah, great. I mean, great fucking game. But we're not talking about what we've been playing. We'll get to that. Game Pass updates. Keo, do you want to read through those?
Yeah, so, all right, so, wait, what is it? June 19th now. So, June 18th, we got Star Trucker and Wild Frost. Rematch is supposed to be today.
Yep.
We get Volcano Princess on June the 24th. June 26th will be Against the Storm. And, I didn't see this, so Warcraft 1, 2, 3 Remastered?
Yeah.
And Reforged?
Reforged
yeah,
is kind of
weird.
trash, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
I know, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it is cool that they're coming to Game Pass, yeah.
Yes, and we're finally getting Call of Duty World War II on June 30th as well. So on console and PC, which is good. And July the 1st, Little Nightmares 2, which I was actually looking at picking up the other day.
It's a great game.
Rise of the Tomb Raider is back for the third time.
Yeah, not sure what's up with that, because it keeps disappearing and coming back, and...
Yeah.
I thought it just got removed recently, right?
I think it did. Maybe. Yeah, it did. Because I picked it up after the last time it got removed.
Yeah, I guess they
It wasn't the last time they left. It was like, I don't want to say licensing issues, but there was some...
Probably. I mean, to be fair, they probably just had to negotiate another agreement. I mean...
Yeah, because it's Square Enix, and then, like, I don't know, who owns it now? Amazon or something?
Crystal, isn't it?
Crystal Dynamics, yeah, I think, yeah. No, because it was... Oh, fuck, I don't even know at this point. But yeah, I think Crystal Dynamics. Eidos.
Yeah, I think Embracer or someone has the shoe in it or something, because it's got legs with Amazon as well.
I'm sure Embracer could use a bit more cash.
Leaving, we have Arcade Paradise, we have Journey to the Savage Planet, QQ. We were going to play that. That's fine. I now have to do it by myself. Oh, actually, with Shadow, I'll do the Xbox version.
I'm right here. What?
Oh,
it's a real pain
here I
in the
am.
ass. Yeah.
Here I am correcting myself, and now you're making a thing of it. So.
Well, they're getting rid of like the base game that was because they had the base game and then the Employee of the Month edition for both Windows and the console as well. So like all three of them.
Yes.
And it's only been in there for 6 months. So I was really expecting we were going to have another 6-month contract. Like this was going to be a 12-month thing. With
definitely just lead in for 2 though, right?
Yeah, they did just want to get some hype going for the second game, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good.
100%. They would have done a shorter one. I'm guessing that the employee. I'm guessing that they launched earlier than what they were expecting.
Potentially. But it's in Game Pass as well, so
yeah. My Friend Peppa Pig, Robin Hood, Sherwood Builders, SteamWorld Dig, and SteamWorld Dig 2.
I didn't really get around to Robin Hood, but
I heard it was bad.
I think out of these, I'm gonna.
I heard it was like really bad, but
it's a tight
Paradise
list,
is good.
There's still some good stuff in there, right? So
yeah. My Friend Peppa Pig.
Yeah, it's a nice easy
Game
one.
of the Year contender.
Well, out with the old trends, and now we have to play Barbie, whatever it is that's in there. So
yep, definitely going to play that.
Yeah,
I'm spoiled for choice for my next milestone game.
I know. Yeah.
All right.
I think Golem's been on sale quite a few times.
I think I own it at this point. I think I did pick it up at some stage. I also have like that fucking King Kong game to get to as well. We've also got our Patreon, patreon.com/HallOfGamers. Basically, if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a way you can help support the show by donating each month. And if you do, you get access to extra content. We give all of our content away to all tiers. So whether you donate like $2 or $10 or $200, like whatever you end up doing, we don't want to gate it based on that. We just like, if you want to help support the show, we want to give a little extra back. So we do.
If you do want to donate 200, though, we will definitely.
I mean, look, I'll take the money. Like, to be fair, we could use it. Like, there aren't that many patrons. I will be fully upfront about that. But a huge thank you to Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Natoliator, Admiral Awesome, Happy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavaliers07, Old Mate Clown, Mace J, Left Legacy, Mendolti, and our new patron, Venom's AU. Venom, let me know if that's what you want the name to be, or if you want us to change it or whatever. This is just what we pull from Patreon. So thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate the support. We literally couldn't afford to do the show without you guys. All the money that we make from this goes straight back into the podcast for paying things like hosting fees and all that other bullshit, just so we can keep the podcast going out to people.
Are you sure it's Venom? It could be Venoms.
It could be Venoms. It could be Venoms. I assumed it was Venoms, but it could be Venoms. I mean, I'm just gonna
say Venoms.
This could be like a Marseille situation all over again, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you do support the Patreon, we do give you access to the outros from like the beginning and end of the shows that we usually record. We've now started doing like themes for them. So we'll usually have something to chat around, usually before the podcast, and then usually some bullshit at the end of it. Along with our episodes of Lights, Camera, and Action, which is our movie reviewing podcast where we review movies based on video games. So we're still in the process. I'm sorry that we haven't got this most recent one out yet. We recorded the first half, but I have been away for work, and then I'm going to be away on a holiday for the next week. So I am going to try as soon as I get back. We're going to record the second half, and we're going to get the Sonic 3 review out for you guys to listen to for the Patreon. So go and check those out. Also, if you
it was Sonic 3 Tokyo
Tokyo Drift. Yeah, it's Tokyo Mission. I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, something in Japan.
Yeah. If you do want to see some old episodes, if you jump onto the Patreon, we do have a few of the older episodes available for everyone to just check out. So you want to see the format. We usually talk about it first, go away and watch it, and then come back and talk about what we thought about it afterwards.
It was Sonic X Shadow Tokyo Mission.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what have we been playing?
All right. What have been...
I can go first because I've honestly been playing one game.
Yeah, I want to hear
Melbourne. That took my weekend. Precinct got its 1.6 patch, so it allows you to restore your save file.
Good.
Still had 3 crashes. Unfortunately, it's always after I finish the day and it's trying to save my progress that it crashes, and then I continue on and it's loading the next day. So it's fine. Like
sure,
it's fine in terms of what a crash does.
Yeah,
it's not resetting any of my progress in that, but
still not quite there.
Yeah, it's still not quite there, sadly. It's just really good, fun sandbox game. Like it's got those old it's not entirely top down GTA 1, but like isometric sandbox. Really just simple to play, easy gameplay that you don't need a guide for. You're just essentially just checking up a list. You're doing your 30 jumps. You're doing your 10 races, which are very forgiving. You're doing time trials. You're arresting people based on what kind of crimes they commit, so they could essentially got 3 different categories. You could be doing traffic violations or vehicular crimes, on-person crimes, or you're searching them and they're carrying counterfeit money.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Goods and all that. The only mistake I keep on seeming to make is counterfeit goods is technically a fine and not an arrest.
Oh, okay.
And I've tried to you got to get 100 arrests, which you'll get easily through your whole playthrough.
Right.
It has a loose story of it that as you do the sandbox, you'll get vital evidence pieces that lead to these story beats.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I definitely want to play this.
It's just a really, I guess, of the era, kind of back to what games will like used to be, which is what I gel with the most.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's definitely on my list. I probably might give that a go while I'm away if I have some free time. I guess I can go next because I don't really have much because I've been away for work. I have not had a chance to play really anything outside of the Eliza P DLC. So started that. I'm only put like an hour or two into it, but it's great. It's more of the same. They've added like new types of enemies, new types of weapons. Like it is like exactly what you expect like an expansion to be. It is a little expensive, but I am curious to see like the story beats and kind of where it goes. I think it's somewhere. The estimates were like anywhere between 5 and 15 hours, depending on how good you are. You can play it on the new easier difficulties, which I've kind of dropped it down to, but it's still you have to do it on New Game Plus if you want all the achievements. And like thankfully, I'm already at the end of a New Game Plus playthrough, so I can jump straight into it. But it is tough. It is the game. It's definitely taken a little bit of getting used to. I've tried to remember like what my build was and kind of what my strategies were, and it's been a while since I played that game, and I really, really did enjoy it. Most of it up until the end, like the New Game Plus kind of final bosses got a bit fucking ridiculous, but it is pretty tough. But the new difficulty stuff make it a lot more forgiving in terms of like not getting your ass handed to you immediately. But the enemies do still take quite a few swings to take down.
Okay.
Love the environment, love the story stuff. A lot of like interesting. Again, it is like a time travel story, so it's a prequel, but like it's a prequel that addresses the fact that it's a prequel. So I'm curious to see kind of where it goes.
Because this is technically my first playthrough, can I complete the DLC or do I need to be in New Game
You'll
Plus?
need to be. You can complete it, but you might as well not. You should be in New Game Plus to do it because there's the golden records that you can only get a New Game Plus in the base game are also in the DLC as well. So you could do the DLC, but you'll have to do it a second time if you do it. So there's not really much point, to be honest.
Right.
Because it's chapter
5.
It's chapter 9.
Yes.
Chapter 5?
Sorry. There are 5 chapters in the DLC, but you need to be in chapter 9 of the base game to do the DLC.
Yeah.
Which is about halfway.
That's also my point.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I recommend is if you've done the base game, you're probably, if you've done like all the base game achievements, you're probably right at the end of a playthrough, of like a second playthrough. So you can just kind of jump straight into the DLC, which is what I did.
Okay.
But I also need to remind myself how that game kind of went in terms of its story and stuff, because it does have that Bloodborne thing of being a little bit esoteric.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, really enjoying it. They've also nerfed my build. So my amazing cheese strategy with the Legion arm with the shield on it doesn't work quite as well anymore, because you used to be able to just fucking mash that shit to parry just about everything. Now it's got a delay on it, so they knew what they were doing.
Interesting.
So I'm having to get good a little bit.
The walkthrough mentions to like as soon as you get that shield, you use it so much, and I was just like, this isn't.
It does not work nearly as well as it used to. It used to be like a win button basically, because you could basically stun an enemy and then hit them with a shot put or something and get into like a kill animation just about. So
yeah, I don't think I ever used that build. So
it's still effective. You just have to time it a lot better.
Okay.
But yeah, that's basically me. I mean, I'm gonna try and work on a few things while I'm away. Like I'm doing a little bit of like Assassin's Creed Odyssey still, just chipping away at that, and a little bit of Blacktail, just of like
cool.
Some games where I'm like put a bit of progress into until my next kind of big project game. But what about you, Kier? What have you been playing?
I have a nice spread this week. So I got a couple of new games I've started. I've got a couple of old games I've finished, and I've got my ongoing game, which is Monster Hunter World is basically my 2025 completion goal, which I've ignored up until June.
Good start.
For a 1,000-hour game. So good start. But I'm really enjoying that, actually getting right into it. And as I was saying before, going back into some of the old Monster Hunter, like just the people talking about it and the buzz they have on Wilds and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm in a good place. Like, really able to do a lot with the dual swords that I've got going at the moment, and just slowly just adding to my armor for survivability and stuff and killing. I've just hit 100 large monsters achievement. There's a 500 large monster achievement as well. So, and then some other stuff you have to do. So it is a bit grindy. So I went back and finished Star Wars Outlaws. That's a new Pirates Bounty DLC. I was already halfway through that, got that done. It's still really good. Story wise, I really enjoyed this story. It's totally worth doing. Content wise, though, they didn't really add much to the end game
Right.
at all. As far as I can see, or if it is, it's just melded into everything else, and I don't know what's new and what's not. So, so it's definitely like an Ubi Plus kind of like get it and do it kind of, because it's really enjoyable. Just get the story done.
Yeah.
And even the missions and all that kind of stuff, I really enjoyed everything that they had in that story wise. So
I really liked Wildcard before that. Like, it was a fun one to do, which is kind of like
Yeah.
an interesting sort of
Yeah.
side 3 to 4 hour experience. So if it's more of that, like, I'm totally fine with that. I would like a larger
Yeah,
expansion
totally.
to that game, because they have put a lot of work into it, but it is kind of like,
Yeah,
I know that they're
I've
kind
said
of
that
done with
too. Like if they could just make a really nice expansion.
A new
for it.
planet or something would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I also finished the DLC, started and finished the DLC for the Division 2. So the back to Brooklyn or whatever it is. Look, I jumped in with Zach, who's in the chat, and Cobra Todd and another friend, Dan. He and kind of just did the open world stuff for an hour or so one night last Saturday, I think it was, and got the open world bosses done really quickly. You just had to do some hunting for some SHD tech and all that kind of stuff, and then you got a bounty basically after you'd like hit a checklist of a few different things that gave you a bounty in the area. Then you do it, and then it's done. You kill the boss all over. But the problem with it is that you have to have all of that checked off, and if you don't, you have to do it all again. So, like, Todd was missing giving survivors 50 food or whatever it was, and I was missing an SHD tech or something. So we kind of had to cycle through and go and do it all.
Because we had the same problem in the base game when we were playing through it. We realized, oh shit, some of us had ticked off all the bounties, some of us had a few left from one here, because they just missed an objective. Yeah.
Exactly, same shit. And the story, I just wiped that out in like a couple of hours, and then Zach joined me for the last 2 missions, and it was done too, very very quick. So happy to be done with it. Very unsatisfying DLC, though. Really, I think I know they're planning a whole lot more content.
I was going to say they are planning more, right? This is kind of just their first like new.
Yeah. So this will be for long, like adding another long tail to the game. So, but I doubt they'll put more achievements unless they do something drastic with it. So, yeah, because they haven't really done a lot in the past. Other than that, the 2 new games I've started, which was really just before the podcast, just kind of like get my feet wet a little bit. I started Elden Ring Night Rain. This is a bit of a tricky one to talk about because you kind of have to go through the whole, I guess, all phases, like day 1, day 2, day 3, to actually get a proper experience out of it.
Sure.
And so far, my experience was die against a boss and then get abused over Xbox Live in chat.
It's like the old 360 days.
So yeah, it's like so you shit, mate. And I'm like, oh well, you know,
literally just fired up this game. Thanks, bro.
Yep. The last FromSoft game that I played, similar to this, it must have been actually the first Dark Souls. Like, it's been a long time. So these games have progressed so far. Because I haven't even played like the normal Elden Ring, and this game is fast. Your character just cruises through the map. I don't know if it's like that in Elden Ring, but you are so fast moving across the map. And yeah, so, and it still has, it's funny because you still have the really slow parry attack, really well timed stuff. Like I don't even have the timing down properly, but it's definitely the FromSoft delay to the weapon swing to you being hit that you really have to work out. It all the way back to Demon Souls. It's exactly the same. So but yeah, but there's lots of like flying around, jumping around and stuff. So I was just on day one, and I tried it twice. The it gets to the point where the flames circle into a point where a boss spawns, and then you have to defeat the boss. And then I'm assuming you move on to the next day and stuff like that. So but I never finished that boss, like, because by that point both of the other people in the game had force quit.
Wow.
So yeah, there wasn't really anything left. So I'm just fighting this boss, and I don't know what I'm doing. So especially boss I don't know, right? So,
I'm really curious around like this. We talked a bit about those updates that we're going to make the game like more single player friendly and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It does seem very interesting. Like it's a real departure for them to go this. I don't know. This just always seemed like a very strange game for them to make.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I would be interested going back to some of the games and just kind of seeing what bosses, even just going over like the wiki of this or something and seeing what bosses are from what game, because I have not seen any of the bosses.
that's the thing I'm
since
most excited for as a big
Dark
fucking
Souls.
FromSoft
So
guy. Again, I'm waiting for them to patch in the the armored core robot in one of them just for him to show up. Although I saw someone joking about them putting the Sekiro final boss in there and no one being able to defeat him ever.
yeah, nice.
That'd be great. But
Yeah,
it is really cool that they're kind of bringing them from the other games.
But yeah, more to come from that. It seems really, really nice, but it really is that 30-minute experience kind of deal with the upgrades, and then you get permanent stuff back in the hub, and then you go back in. Yeah.
Apparently they shadow dropped a new boss yesterday too with the update, and they didn't include it in the patch notes.
That's what I heard. Yeah, people were losing their fucking minds.
Yeah. Jeez.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And speaking of
Limited time
interesting,
versions.
yeah, right. Limited time? Really? That's not going to go well.
These limited time versions of the Night Lords are extremely challenging and pose an even greater threat to the Nightfarers with new moves and increased power. If you beat these enhanced versions of the Night Lords before they return to the darkness, you'll receive sovereign sigils as a reward, unique tokens that can be exchanged for special relics and other items.
Huh, okay, so they're kind of doing a little bit of a live service thing. I was very interested to see like how much support this game is, because it is obviously like their B tier kind of like they're reusing assets and it's a smallest kind of scope game. If this was going to be like a cool, we made this game and we're kind of done with it and we just kind of experiment, or this is like, no, this is kind of going to be like an ongoing live service. I suppose it's like how successful it is, which it seems to be doing relatively well.
Yeah. I had no trouble searching for people and finding people.
Right.
At all, really. A game I did have trouble searching and finding people for was FBC Firebreak.
Really?
So I just tried doing a quick search and could not find matches. I found one match, and when I started solo in one of them, I had people join me, one person join. But it's like a searching for 1 to 3 players deal or whatever, and I've only ever had like one other person join. So
is it crossplay or is that only on Xbox?
it's crossplay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was in the settings too. Yeah, so because it's a little toggle you turn on or off. Happy I can use mouse and keyboard with it. That's great. Really great to see those like console features with the keyboard. But like it's very novel. Like you've got kind of like a 5 levels as far as I can see, like a pin board, kind of like what you see in Phasmophobia, kind of like we'll go here, we'll do this, and it's got levels. It's like 1, 2, 3, and then extreme, and you kind of have to finish one to get to the next,
Right, okay.
So I guess you're really relying on people to be in those phases to be able to find them, to do stuff with them, and yeah. So I'm kind of just playing each of the levels. I've done 3 levels, and they've all been in parts of Control, what we've seen, and doing really interesting objectives like 15,000 post-it notes is littered around the rooms, and you have to destroy all of them. And if you don't wet the dry ones, they stick to you, and then you have to go get decontaminated because they start covering the screen.
Right.
And then you start dying basically from it. So, but you see the enemies randomly that pop up in Control and all that kind of stuff. So it really is a it's one of those things that you don't think about. It's like, oh, somebody's behind the scenes. They have to be looking after this place. Oh, who's doing it? Oh, these guys are doing it. And you're really just doing jobs like turning generators on, and it lasts maybe 10 minutes, and then you're out of that and into another one. So, and it's not even phases. It's you do the job, you're done with the job. Like, they don't go from job to job. Like,
Right, okay.
it'd be really nice if they had 3 random jobs, 3 random objectives, and then you finish the level, you take an elevator to the next floor, and then you do more. But they're very contained.
Yeah.
So
do you think it'd be more enjoyable if you had like a good group of 3 to work on it? Like, I know some people were talking about doing it in our Discord.
Yeah, I think you could definitely have a lot more fun. Same with Elden Ring, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a consistent group, then you'll be fine. But yeah, as I said, you can go in solo, just keep matchmaking on, and you might have somebody join, you might not. I wasn't even sure what the last objective was. I was just shooting these leech things in the wall, and they were bursting, and then eventually when somebody joined, it had like a contaminated ball fall out of one, and then we had to throw it in a machine.
Right.
For decontamination or whatever. So, and you had to find 6 of them. So, yeah.
Have you looked at the achievement list? Do you know what that's kind of looking like?
I haven't. No, I was going to pull it up, but I haven't done it. There's so far I did the intro, and I got 4 achievements, and it was basically do this and do it better and complete a thing with
All right.
Really
I might have a look.
stuff.
I'm somewhat curious.
Yeah.
11 people have completed it so far. It's
Okay.
currently a 9.6 ratio. Most of the people are fluctuating between 10 to 15 hours.
Oh, okay. That's pretty
A few
reasonable.
outliers at 23 and 33 hours.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Yeah. Play with each class, stuff like that. That's what
I'm
I've
assuming
got.
it's like do each level on the highest difficulty or whatever. And
so
clearance level 6
Highest-
and jobs. Yeah.
highest ratio achievement at the moment is Firebreaker, which is reaching maximum grade with 4 crisis kits. That's a 27 ratio.
yeah, right.
Obviously, having just come out. The other one was completing any clearance 6 job on extreme or high with no one downed.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That does sound pretty tough.
Which so far from what I played is pretty simple. So
Okay.
Saying this, and Kim might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, there's an achievement for getting a job on high, a job on extreme, and a job on terminal. Whilst I was having a look at the hazard pay achievement, which is the one on terminal, terminal's not technically in the game yet, but it's unlocking for people on the extreme difficulty.
Oh, well, that's handy.
So it might be saving yourself a little bit of trouble
if you do it early.
doing it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a page on the board that wasn't even unlocked.
Right.
I didn't know if you had to do everything else to unlock that, or if it was something that they were adding later. But I'm pretty sure, I think even on the difficulty stuff, it did have up to extreme, but then there was also like a hidden bit.
Right.
So I think they're not quite there yet. So
maybe when I get back, we'll get a group together and give it a bash.
Yeah.
Because it is on Game Pass, and it's like it looks relatively straightforward, and hopefully there'll be some guides out by then.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Gare?
That's it. That's me. So.
All right. Well, we also have the word challenge, everyone's favorite competition, where I pick a game and then forget to give you guys a clue in a couple of weeks. So I've given you a nice, easy one. God damn it! No, this is no. I'm not falling for that. For our listeners at home, someone has gone into my clue list and changed one of the names. So the first
1 letter.
Yep, 1 letter. So the clues are also, just if you don't know what the word challenge is, you go on our Discord, I come up with a game, you guess it, you win. Every week I give away a clue. So the first clue was this game is a non-numbered sequel. The second is this game has co-op. And this third clue is features Stan, according to Cameron. But no, this game features Satan.
I was going to say, just leave it at that. Just features Stan, including 1 other letter.
Yeah, it's Santa. Yeah, Santa is the, yes. So yes, features Satan.
Yeah, exactly where I was going with it. It could have been Santa or it could have been Satan.
One of the, it's got to, either way he's in red. Hopefully that gives you a big fucking clue for what this game might be. because we're getting towards the end of the month. I got one more clue that I can give that'll basically give it away, but I think people will start to get it by now. So go get your guesses. I will put it in the bot straight away because I know we missed last week because I didn't have a clue. So best of luck to everyone. Go forth and guess. You get one guess per hour in the word challenge channel on our
What do they
Discord.
win?
They win fuck all at this point. You might win $10 if you want it. Otherwise, if you're like Legacy and you just want it to just win for the sake of winning, I totally understand that as well because we're all achievement hunters. None of this is worth anything.
We should give them a Patreon subscription.
Yeah, it's a good idea. We should do that. All right. We also have the leaderboard, which is where our other piece, where if you're a big scoring gamer every week, you can get on the top of the list. But good fucking luck, because we got some high rollers in here. But we do have our new patron is in here in third place, Venoms, with 8,335. He's also been added to the leaderboard, so doing very well for himself. A Grey Shark is in there with 13,202. And of course, Thrash Forever bringing up just fucking destroying the rest of us, as always, with 15,585. After having like maybe a quiet week or two, he's just decided to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
All right. Completions. Cameron, you want to read through those?
Yep. Man, doesn't even carry on with the Venoms joke.
Nope.
Funny. Leaf Claw did Puppy Playtime, Rockin' Racing Grand Prix, One Square, Dynabomb, and Bellatron Oceans. Firehawk did Never Dead, is it Kepler?
Kepler, yeah, that was the one that was leaving Game Pass. Yeah.
Okay. And Unknown 9 Awakening, which I'm really interested to hear.
Yes, I want to get his opinion on that next week, if we can.
Shadowless Edge did Evil Dead the Game and White Noise 2. Josh Jake did Monster Hunter Wilds, Super Mario Bros, Astrobot, and Ghosts and Goblins. Todd did the Division 2 update. Rapture did Hypnospace Outlaw and Rolling Hills. Spillwares did Spray Paint Simulator. Valak did Alone in the Dark. Ickle did Lonely Mountain Snow Riders. Alpha D Pills did Slayaway Camp. Vex did Placid Plastic Duck Simulator.
Try saying that
Lord
5
Mud
times
did
fast.
Yeah, jeez. Lord Mud did Resident Evil Reverse. Stubby did Orcs Must Die Free.
With
Left
me.
Legacy did Rainbow Six Siege X now.
Yep.
After the new update. And Superbud did Crush Time 2.
Big list of completions this week. Good job, guys.
Yeah. Really good.
But I think it's pretty much going to bring us to the end of the show. As always, you can find us on Twitch, Xbox, Hall of Gamers, as usual. Come say hi, hang out in the chat. We love the shit posting. It was great to see some few people this week. Good old Red Ninja Dan and Stubby, and I saw Left 4 Legacy made an appearance, and Zach and Bulbasaur. It's great to see everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Anything you guys want to shill? Kia, what do you got going on?
No, you can just catch me Kia live at home everywhere: Instagram, X, Discord, Xbox, and at How to Fix Gaming on YouTube, with a whole bunch of stuff I got up there. So
sweet. Cameron, anything from you?
I was going to say, if you go into this point in the show, I've just posted the Discord link in the Twitch chat, so feel free to come join us. Even if we're not currently live at the moment, you might just join randomly out of the blue and post the same fucking GIF as me 4 minutes after it's being posted in a private channel.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Some people are just tuned in, the meme theory is real. It is. If you're watching the VOD, you can usually catch up with the chat, so that the Discord link is also in there. Thank you, Cameron, for posting that. I'm Neomaster on everything, True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord. Next week will be an interesting one because I will be away, so we'll try and figure out another thing. I might be able to dial in or something from my laptop.
Podcast from
podcast from Bali. We'll see how it goes. We're working on my tan. But a huge thank you to my co-hosts, to our patrons, to our live audience, and all you listening and watching at home. If you're an audio listener, you can check out the VOD on Twitch or check out the old episodes on YouTube with the wonderful thumbnails that Char does. That's been episode 174. We'll catch you guys next week. See you later.
Peace out.
Catches.